Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Arsenal just won the North London Derby. It feels really good. Um, I just want to talk about how happy I am now. 'Cause I was so nervous that I made a video before the game talking about how nervous I was, and I haven't made any videos pre-match before about Arsenal, but that's how worried I was about how this game was gonna go, and it was it got so much worse when Son scored 20 minutes in, and it's like so often what we see with Arsenal is that they have all the possession, have all the opportunities, but only tend to get half chances. Don't do much with the ball when they have it. And that is more or less the case in the first half. And Son got one goal. Took a bit of a fortunate deflection. Not really much Raya could do about it. I do think that at least one player could have run up and tried to put a bit of pressure on Son. He had a ton of space to shoot. That being said, Son is a very good player, and even with a fortunate deflection, like it's always a risk when you let someone as good as Son have a chance like that. So, frustrating first half for a long bit. And a worrying thing for me is like I used to when we went down, I'd have a decent amount of confidence that we would eventually get on top. We would take advantage of the other team and get some goals in the end, which I haven't had recently, and I didn't really expect us to score. I expected more to be like what happened at the end with the Man United and Newcastle games. But then we get a corner, and oh my gosh, I love Big Gabby. Like just like I love Big Gabby, man. We were fairly lucky to have gotten the corner. We probably shouldn't have gotten it, but such things can happen. Tottenham still has to defend it, and we score a lot of corner kick goals in general, but especially against Tottenham, we do well. And there's two things that play into that. Firstly, and this specifically to Tottenham, we tend to be like most of our players are taller than their players. Tottenham has a decent amount of shorter players, and Arsenal have made uh, a specific attempt in the transfer market to get very big and very tall players, which means we can physically and in height dominate Tottenham on corners. And then the second thing, and this applies to everyone, is Yover likes to cram the 6 yard box with players because all goals count the same. So a beautifully well worked corner counts as a goal, but also one where we don't quite get it right, but there's a ton of players in the box, and the chaos caused by that means we get a lucky deflection and it goes in. You know, goals are goals at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how pretty it is. And I think we benefited from that on our corner kick goal. And it wasn't actually McGullah's who got it on it in the end. He's the reason that there was a Tottenham player there to deflect off of, but it ended up being an own goal, I think, from Solanke. Um, but that's where the chaos thing went in. It didn't go quite right for Arsenal, but because of how many players were in the 6 yard box, there was a few fortunate deflections. There was enough chaos that it ended up working well, and we still ended up getting a goal. And maybe we shouldn't have had a corner kick there, but sometimes you get lucky when you are the team with most of the ball and most of the attacking chances. Sometimes chances like that come, and whether or not it should have been a corner, you can't really review corners and say, oh yeah, like that would slow the game down so much if every corner was reviewed the same way every goal is. And Tottenham, at the end of the day, still have to be there to defend it. And we're especially good at, like, we're really good at corners, obviously, but especially good against Tottenham. And so we got the corner kick there. I'm a bit worried because when we had Rice and Saka, both of them, you can tell how much we practice it because they both almost every time deliver just like a perfect in swinging ball or in swinging ball to the far post, and now that Sokka's out, we don't have players who have practiced it the same much. So we tried it with Nwaneri, we've tried it with Odegaard, and it's not quite the same. And that's no fault to them because they aren't the ones who have obviously had to practice that 1,000 times to get it perfectly. So when it's on the side where Rice delivers, it's still very good, but it's not quite the same on the other because we don't have Sokka right now to deliver those those perfect balls. Um, that being said, though, sometimes also you just get players to produce a moment of brilliance. You could talk a bit about how Trossard got a decent amount of space to take that shot, but like I posted it on the community bit, like, holy heck, what a goal from Trossard. That was an incredible shot, a great finish, and I do think Trossard is the best at getting the ball on target on our team. Um, and he did really well there. Scored a really nice goal. Um, so that was really fun. Um, and then all of a sudden, a game that we didn't have much business winning because Tottenham was doing well to defend us, even though we had a lot of the ball. We didn't deserve it too much, I don't think, but we got a little bit fortunate, a few moments of just absolute brilliance, and all of a sudden we're winning at halftime. And that was really exciting, really great time. Uh, I cheered very loudly when that Trossard goal went in. And then in the second half, it was more game management, and that was when that confidence came back for me because I know that we can rely on that defense, and I know like they haven't kept as many clean sheets as I might have liked recently, but they still are a very good defensive unit. Um, Saliba and McGull are just very good defenders. Um, we probably should have gotten another goal. We had the chances for it. Didn't quite get there. Uh, almost caught the Tottenham goalkeeper. I just blanked on his name. Not Vicario. Um, out a few times. We almost took the ball off him in a position where we would have had an open goal if we could have just gotten it right. Didn't quite turn out, but that's something that Tottenham probably should be worried about because one of these days a chance like that would result in a goal. Um, but still, I think we never really looked like we were going to concede that much, even when Tottenham had probably more of the chances, more of the ball certainly in the second half. I think Arsenal still had the better chances in the second half. Um, a few other players to shout out. Odegaard looked really good. He always does, but he's gotten a little bit of criticism recently for not being quite as good as he has been. But Odegaard's my favorite player on the team, so perhaps I'm a bit biased. But I feel like it's very hard to criticize him, and he is the heartbeat of our team. And he looked great again today, and he just about always looks great. I struggle to criticize Odegaard ever. Um, it was really nice to see Tierney in the team. I really like Tierney. Like Tierney, when he was playing regularly for us, he's absolutely one of my favorite players on the squad. I absolutely love Tierney, and I get really excited whenever he plays for us now because he doesn't really usually. Um, and then one more player to shout out was Miles Lewis Skelly. I was gonna say Rice also did really well, but Lewis Skelly is the one I really want to praise because for an 18-year-old who still hasn't really played with the first team that much, so won't have as much of the chemistry as a lot of the other players will have had with each other because he's still like between the academy and the first team. Um, and also just a very young player to step in a derby game like this and put in a performance like he did was absolutely incredible. And I really hope that what happened with Smith Rowe and Reece Nelson doesn't happen with Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly because I already love them. And man, what a performance from Lewis Skelly. Like, what else can I say? The only player I have to criticize is Sterling, who I know we brought in more as a depth signing, anyways. Um, but I still expected a bit more out of him than what he's given us in the past few games. And now that we don't have Saka or Nwaneri to fill in that right side, um, Sterling has to step up, and he hasn't really done that so far. So that's a bit worrying, but I don't want to say too much negative, even though there were still a few things that maybe I wasn't thrilled with in the game. I think, especially in the first half, we could have looked better. But that being said, after the week that we've had where we basically got knocked out of both cup competitions, we really needed a win, and you can't ask for a much better team to beat than your arch rivals. And that is 5 out of the last 6 games now that we've beaten Tottenham. And um, you could say that this could be the kind of win that could help bring the season back to life, get us going. I'm a bit wary about that because I've said that a few times this season. Like, I know when we beat Nottingham Forest 3-0, I thought that might be a turning point for us. Uh, Whether or not it will be remains to be seen. Right now, I just feel really happy that we beat Tottenham, and I'm not going to worry about the league tonight. I just want to celebrate that we desperately needed a win, and to get it against Tottenham feels really good.